Let's be real. New cars are insanely expensive right now, and you've probably heard one popular theory, right? That it's all about those fuel efficiency rules, and that if we just relax them, prices would drop. But what if that's not even close to the whole story? Today, we're going to dig into that.
So there's been this big push to roll back fuel efficiency standards. And the hope is pretty simple, right? That this one change will finally make cars affordable again. But is it really that easy?
I mean, the logic seems to make sense. You ease up on the regulations, cars get simpler and cheaper to make, and poof, those savings get passed on to us, the buyers.
Yeah, not so fast. The analysis we're breaking down today says the situation is way more complicated. The crazy high price of new cars, it's a problem with roots that go much, much deeper than just one set of rules.
All right, so to really get this, let's start with the most obvious piece of the puzzle, those fuel economy regulations. And specifically, we're talking about something called CAFE standards.
So what exactly are these CAFE standards? Well, think of it like this. They force car companies to balance their whole lineup. So for every big gas-guzzling truck they sell, they've also got to sell enough super-efficient cars, like EVs or hybrids, to hit this average fuel economy target across their entire fleet.
Okay, and here's where the argument from our source material really kicks in. It claims these standards have some major unintended consequences. First, to meet these targets, the claim is that car makers are basically forced to sell electric vehicles at a huge loss. So what do they do to make up for it? Well, the argument is they jack up the prices on all their other cars. And it doesn't stop there. The source also says this pushes them to ditch those bigger, more reliable V8 and V6 engines for smaller, really complex turbo engines that can end up being way more expensive to maintain down the road.
So, what's the end result of all this, according to the analysis? This. A jaw-dropping $50,000. That's the average price for a new car these days. And when you stop and think that the median household income after taxes is nowhere near that, you start to see just how big this problem really is.
But wait, here's the big twist in this whole analysis. It argues that those fuel standards, they're not even the main culprit behind these sky-high prices. There's something else, a much bigger, kind of hidden driver at play here.
In this quote right here, this is the absolute core of the argument: mandatory safety features. The claim is that these are what truly pump up the cost of every single car sold in America, and in doing so, they basically make truly cheap cars illegal to sell here.
I mean, just look at this chart. It's pretty wild. You can go to Mexico and buy a brand new Ram 700 pickup for about $17,000, or head to Europe and grab a Dacia Sandero for $12 grand. And get this, in China, there's a mini EV for just $4,000, and not a single one of them can be sold in the US. So what gives?
Well, according to the source, it's pretty simple. They're considered illegal to sell here because they just don't meet our incredibly strict safety regulations. They're missing things that are mandatory in the US, like side curtain airbags, anti-lock brakes, automated braking systems, all that advanced tech and the computers that run it.
This truck right here, the Toyota Hilux Champ, is held up as the perfect example. It's exactly what it looks like: a super basic, no frills, reliable work truck. No giant touchscreens, no complicated computers. It's the kind of simple, functional vehicle a lot of people are actually looking for. But because it doesn't have all that required safety tech, you can't buy it here.
Okay, so let's say, just for argument's sake, that the fuel and safety rules were relaxed tomorrow. Problem solved, right? Well, the analysis says, nope. There's another huge roadblock, and this one is all about politics.
What we have here, according to the source, is this crazy cycle of regulatory whiplash. It goes like this. One administration comes in and imposes really strict standards. Automakers then spend billions, literally billions, retooling their factories to comply. Then, just a few years later, a new administration comes in and reverses those very same rules. So what happens? The car companies get nervous. They're not going to invest in making totally different, simpler, cheaper cars because they're afraid the rules will just flip-flop back again in another 4 years.
And that's the real kicker. This constant back and forth, this political uncertainty, it can just grind everything to a halt. It freezes innovation and leaves automakers just sticking with the expensive, complex models they've already poured all that money into, no matter what the rules of the day are.
All right, so let's bring this all home. What is this whole mess? The fuel standards, the safety rules, the political whiplash. What does it actually mean for you, for the average person who just needs to buy a car?
Well, for one thing, it means people are getting buried in debt just to afford a basic necessity. Car loans are being stretched out longer and longer. We're now seeing terms up to 120 months. That is a 10-year loan on a car that's packed with so much complex technology, it might not even last that long.
So at the end of the day, the takeaway from this analysis is that it's a perfect storm. It's not just one thing. It's this combination of factors. You've got fuel standards allegedly pushing up the cost of non-EVs. You've got extensive safety regulations creating this really high price floor that no car can go below. And then you have political uncertainty that just stifles any real change or innovation. And who pays the price for all of it? You guessed it, the consumer.
And all of this leaves us with a really tough final question. I mean, of course we all want safe cars. Nobody's arguing against that. But at what point does the cost of all these mandated features push basic, reliable transportation out of reach for millions of people? It's a huge trade-off, and there's definitely no easy answer.
If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, like, and share.